My husband, 40 male, and I 34F have been married for 4 years. I came into my stepdaughter's, 16F, life when she was 10. Both her and my stepson, now 12M, were somewhat neglected and had behavior issues when I met them. My husband and his ex aren't bad parents, but he travels a lot for work and she is a bit flighty and self-indulgent. My SD and I hit it off real well and I love both my stepkids. We all co-parented well, with me taking on a more active role in their school and other stuff. Both husband and his ex-wife were satisfied with me doing the grunt work for kids. They both travel a lot and I became the sole parent who was fully engaged. I own a 3-bedroom house I had inherited from my parents, and husband and kids moved in to live with me. Kids love their rooms in our home and their lives in our town. The custody arrangement they have on paper is 50-50, but their mom doesn't have as much space as I do, so the kids are here almost full time. A few months ago, I came back from an overnight school field trip with my stepson to a very distraught SD. She found her parents together in my bedroom and was upset about the cheating. I was devastated to hear this from her. After some sleuthing, I found out that their affair had been going on for months and possibly a whole year. I've been trying to get pregnant for the past 2 years and we were having very frequent sex, and realizing that my husband was sleeping with us back to back was especially nauseating for me. I have filed for divorce and asked him to leave. He doesn't want this marriage to end and seems somehow convinced that I'll change my mind. But he agreed to a separation and has moved out to an apartment. My SD was mad at both her parents and wants to continue living with me. Neither of them are taking any steps to move out the kids, who are still living in their rooms and living our lives as if this family hasn't imploded. I'd have been happy with having the kids with me, but my problem is that both my husband and kids' mom feel at liberty to come into my house whenever they feel like it because their kids are here. She feels no guilt about the cheating and acts as if I am the interloper. She treats me like I am their nanny, expecting me to continue taking care of things for kids and leaving me with instructions and criticisms. Meanwhile, my ex frequently drops by under the guise of seeing the kids but keeps trying to cajole me into letting him move back. I love my SD and I don't want to do anything to hurt her further, but I can't take living like this. The amount of hurt and anger I feel towards my husband and his ex-wife is too much, and it's painful to have to keep dealing with them. The absolute cheek of them to treat me like this is making my head explode. But I don't know what to do about the kids. Everyone in my life is expecting me to suck it up and do what's best for the kids. I love them, but this is becoming unbearable. Update 1. Following the advice given, I talked with different lawyers to see what I could do in this situation. What I found out wasn't very promising, and the lawyer retainer fee for a custody fight is too high. With the separation, my money situation is pretty tight and I couldn't afford to chase this issue legally. I've been stressed and working late these days. The day after I made the post, I was going to be late home and had asked SD to reheat the frozen lasagna I had made for dinner. When I arrived home, it was to both the kids having a meal with the ex and their mom. I'll call her M. M had decided to turn it into a family dinner and set out the food I made, on my formal dining table, with my nice dishes. She had created a pretty family moment with her and ex under my roof. I completely lost it at that point. I regret to say I behaved abominably, screaming at her and my ex and told them to get the hell out of my house. This happened in front of SS, who was pretty shocked. So far I had kept him out of most of this mess. After my breakdown, I needed some time away, so I drove out to spend the weekend with my cousin. SD wanted to come with me and we left SS with his dad. SD was so sweet to me and very understanding of why I was upset. She hadn't invited her parents, her mom had shown up and then she invited X for dinner. SD hadn't anticipated that I'd get this upset. Frankly, I am surprised too that I blew up like that. That's not the typical me. After we got back, I let M know that she shouldn't come over anymore, and if she did then I'll report her for trespassing. M didn't believe me and showed up to talk, and I lost it at her, and this time I did call the cops. They nicely asked her to leave and she did. SS was very upset at me for this. M showed up again the next day acting all sweet and telling me that I am being unreasonable. Unfortunately, I became pretty unhinged at this and swore and yelled at her. SS shoved me and screamed at me to shut up. I fell on my butt and was shocked into silence. M was pretty surprised too and left immediately, whereas SS ran and locked himself in his room. He called his dad to come get him, but he was out of town and M ignored his calls. SS is a very loving kid, so his reaction was very heartbreaking. I understand where he is coming from though. M is his mother after all. M is also a very pretty person who comes across as very sweet and delicate. She's the type of woman people jump to help. It is natural that SS would feel protective of her. I hadn't expected that he'd turn on me though. The rest of the week was bad, with SS angry at me and refusing to talk to me. When his dad got back in town, he came and got him. SS told him he didn't want to live with me anymore. A few days later, X wanted me to take back SS, but the kid didn't want to come back. I told X I will not force him, and X got pretty mad at me. He wanted me to fix the situation somehow. When I refused to make SS stay with me, X became pretty mean. He said a lot of ugly things, the worst being that he's relieved I didn't get pregnant because I'd make an awful mother. I was afraid of things turning out this way, but I've got X and M out of my house and that is a relief. SD is going to live with me till she moves out to college. X is struggling to find childcare for SS and is so angry at me that I think he'll not slow down the divorce anymore. I want to fix this with SS, but a big selfish part of me is afraid to do anything that'll bring his parents back in my life. I really don't understand M's actions and motivations in all this. She wanted to sleep with X and I had walked out of the picture and it was all hers. If she wanted her kids, it wasn't like there was anything I could do about that. If she didn't want her kids, I was already taking care of them. But she'd keep violating my boundaries with a smile on her face and be all surprised that I am not happy about this. Right now neither her nor X want to be the daily parent to SS, but he is angry at me enough that he doesn't want to choose me. I feel so crushed about that. Oop, I keep thinking about the dinner and I am so weirded out. Nobody is poor here, doing a family dinner isn't a hardship for anyone. Do this in your own home, or go to a restaurant, do anything, but why do it in my home? That just blows my mind. What are these guys thinking? SD is being great with me, but she's emotionally shut herself off from her family. She only calls her dad for money and she doesn't talk to her mom at all. Which isn't healthy either, but I don't know what to do about that now. She's ambitious and working hard for school and I am proud of her for that. My parents passed away a decade ago, but my aunt is nearby and X complained to her about me. I got lectured by her about how I should do better by my stepkids. I hate that he's bad-mouthing me to the few people in my life. Update 2. Nothing of consequence has happened on the legal front since my last post. Emotionally, it has been a lot of ups and downs. A lot of people messaged me suggesting that I should let SD go and it's not healthy to have her staying with me. That may be so on paper, but it's not something I want to do. I met X a few years after my parents' death. I was very close to them and they passed away one after the other. I suffered from a lot of depression from grieving. My boyfriend at that time dumped me and I lost a lot of friends. When we started dating, I was coming out of my sadness but was still very lonely. SD and I became each other's supports very quickly. She felt neglected by her parents and had resentment towards them and I suppose she loved the attention I gave her. I found her to be a loving kid and I liked bonding with her. SS and I were close too. While he loved his mom, I did kinda assume that he was closer to me. One of the resentments that SD held against her parents was that they were uninterested and dismissive of her extracurriculars that led to her failing in some activities she was very passionate about. She's into a sport I was familiar with and I spend a lot of time training with her and taking her to her events and classes. She is very good at it now and it's going to be a source of scholarships for her and possibly get her into the college she is interested in. She is hardworking and ambitious and I want to support her as much as I can. She has promised to keep her parents out of our home and I hope she sticks with that till she leaves for college. X has been very angry and ranting at me in messages. I have stopped answering his calls and I don't reply to his emails. I've told him the only subject I'll discuss with him is divorce and only through my lawyer. So he's been bad-mouthing me to a lot of our mutual acquaintances. A couple of people have gently chided me for abandoning SS. One went so far as to say that women who become stepmoms should know what they are signing up for, and a real mother wouldn't leave her children. I am not good with conflict and haven't been able to respond properly. I've pretty much isolated myself from people so I don't have to listen to comments like these. M is still blocked by me and she hasn't made any more efforts to communicate with me and that is a huge relief. A week after the last post, Sil came down to see me. She lives 3 hours away so I was pretty apprehensive that she was going to drive down all the way over here to talk to me. I asked to meet in a restaurant and she agreed. I was also worried about talking to her because while she's been polite and nice with me, she was and still is M's friend. She told me X had urged her to talk to me about SS and she completely disagrees with him about that. She said I've been a great stepmom to SS but he's not my responsibility. X was honest with her about his affair and she supports me getting divorced. She said a lot of supportive things to me about moving on and looking after myself and also thanked me for taking care of SD still. That was nice, but then she went on to add that she wasn't surprised by the affair at all, she was surprised that X married me. She was like, you should have seen this coming. Though she didn't come out and say it, the insinuation was that M is so much better than me, she's prettier, more successful, more charming and X would jump on the chance to be with her. That was just great to hear, peachy. Though it's easy for me to accept now that I am not the smart one here because I didn't see it coming at all. I was happy and in love with my family. The upside to that meeting is that X has stopped harassing me. I haven't heard anything from him since and I think he has stopped talking about me to others too. I don't have anything on SS yet, though SD told me he's alright and waiting for summer vacation to start. A few of you said that M might have been interested in taking my house. I don't think so. She do, S alright by herself and has a good career. She has a rather spendy lifestyle and lives in a very fancy 2-bedroom apartment in the city, while my house is in a child-friendly but staid suburb. I hope things continue to be quiet because I need to get my head straight and focus on work or I may get fired. And my job is the one thing going for me right now. Oop, thank you. I keep tittering between anger and fear about my situation. When things go quiet it's mostly anger now. Update 3. We had a court date and the judge ordered mediation and put this off for a few more months. I was hoping this would be a wrap up, after all we don't have kids together and I want nothing from X. I didn't bring up custody for SD or SS and he didn't either. All I want is a divorce and to walk away with what I brought in, my house and my car. X isn't fighting for those but he's still saying he doesn't want a divorce. WTH man. He's left me 2 messages asking to talk. I've ignored him. The mediation will be over Zoom, which to me sounds more comfortable than in-person meeting. SD and I are doing well living together. M is silent. Nothing from SS so far. Update 4. I am divorced. Papers are signed, judge has signed off, it's done. I am so relieved. I was scared that this would drag on for longer. The first mediation meeting was a shit show with X trying to talk at me that we should go through marriage counseling. The mediator was a very firm woman who kept the conversations in control though. We had a couple more mediation emails and he agreed to sign off. I was still nervous about how it'd go today, but X played nice and signed off on everything. A very nice surprise was that he voluntarily gave me our entire joint savings account. I was not expecting that. I had asked for half of it though in reality he has put more in it than I did. I'd have been okay with taking just my portion, but he surprised me by giving me all the money. It was our emergency savings, so not a rich amount but a nice high 5-figure number. I am so relieved about it. Money had become tight with lawyer fees and changes and this helps. Emotionally also it made me feel better about myself. I may be wrong but my heart wants to read this as his acknowledging that he screwed me over and I deserve something back. Oop, thank you. I am both relieved and scared of being lonely. The period of my life where I was alone after losing my parents was very depressing and I don't want to fall back into that. Oop, thank you, this is my plan too. I've joined an adult league for the sport SD and I play. I've signed up for group cycling. I might try some volunteering. Update 5. I can write things down here that I can't talk about in real life. I am making a big show of being happy and social and carefree to people in real life, but honestly I am so damn miserable and sad. The first couple months I soldiered on out of pure spite and determination to remake myself, but it's devolving into sadness. I had been avoiding hearing anything about X or M, but SD has been having some issues and she vented to me how mad she's at her parents, mom mostly. X and M didn't last long, they were having fights and issues well before my divorce finalized. M immediately started dating someone else and from what I hear she's happy in this current relationship and is so into it she hasn't even met either of her kids in the past 2 months. Only video calls. X had to juggle a lot of things to adjust his work schedule and get dependable childcare for stepson. He's dating 2 now, a much younger woman. X and M used to co-parent well, but I guess I was the one really doing that because right now they hate each other and hardly ever talk. One would think that it'd make me happy, seeing them fall apart from each other, but it's only making me more angry. My life was ruined, the kids' happy home was destroyed and for what? I miss my old life so much. A lot of it was a lie, but I was so happy and full of purpose. Then, I am just feeling lost right now. I have tried dating and have been on a lot of dates, but they have all been bad or wrong. People around me have been setting me up with divorced dads and no offense to them but I can't do that again. I actually had one date which felt more like an interview for a nanny role. It made me so depressed. SD is doing great though and that brings me a lot of joy. I am little scared of the time, soon, when she'll move out and it'll be just me in this big house. I've talked to SS on the phone a couple of times. That boy has grown up and changed so much it feels like we were separated for years. He's going to come for a sleepover during the Halloween weekend and I am pretty excited about that. SD was going to babysit him at X's place while he travels but I okayed having him with us since it's Halloween. Oop, sorry for the late response. I was in a depressed state and avoiding things for a while, I am much better now. Update 6. I had left this at a sad note a couple years ago and that doesn't feel right. I had stepped away from Reddit because I was getting quite a bit of negative messages. Some people making fun of me and calling me names. Most of you have been so amazing and helpful, but a few mean messages still got to me. My life has been good since then. I had stopped dating and gave up on online apps. I did well with making a few friends and staying busy with having an active life, a good career and hobbies. Eventually, I met my current partner on a hiking trip. My daughter has been a constant ray of sunshine in my life and we are very close. She introduces me to people as her adopted mom, lol, and I don't refer to her as step. She is doing great at college, she's growing into an awesome person and my home is her home when she visits from school. Things are a bit more complicated with my former stepson. He has been upfront that he doesn't want me as a parental figure in his life and is not interested in being close to me. Heck that. I still stay in touch with him, but as a distant friend. We exchange jokes and sometimes we 3 get together for dinner. He is in therapy for depression and anger issues so I don't want to let go of him completely. Regarding the guy I am with now, this is by far the best romantic relationship of my life and I am very happy. I am pregnant now, 2nd trimester, and we are both excited. The pregnancy was unexpected but I am thrilled about it. I was trying so hard to get pregnant in my previous marriage and all that trying and medical interventions didn't help and now I am pregnant despite condoms. The relationship is still new and I am treading carefully. One of the best parts is that his family is amazing. His parents are very sweet and accepting people who already treat my daughter as their grandchild and are very excited about the baby. Oop, I am so happy these days, but also nervous about the pregnancy and a smidge scared of losing again. Then I also think that things didn't go how I had planned them but they worked out alright. I remember being scared of becoming a stepmom, but those kids turned out to be the best thing and they made me mom for life. I worry about my son, He is so cynical and unhappy for someone so young. Whether I am in his life or not, I want him to find his peace and be happy. Now second story. Foster parents kicked me out of the house, leaving me homeless and jobless at 18, after they stopped receiving the fostering allowance for me. I, 18 male, was told earlier today that I need to pack up and leave by the end of the week. I still feel in shock. I was removed from my biological family when I was 7 due to issues with my parents. I was then placed in foster care and then matched with a couple who I will call the Peters. It's not their real name, no matter how much I actually want to blast their real info I won't. The Peters were always really nice to me, and since I moved in when I was pretty young after a while I started to consider them my parents. I called them mom and dad. Treated them as my parents, treated their biological son as my brother. I wasn't their only foster child, they also have a 9-year-old boy who has lived with us for a little over a year. I was never adopted by them. I know why, because they live off the fostering allowance. Something that never really bothered me, they told me that it didn't matter and that legality didn't make us a family. Which I believed. I went on their agency website earlier today and I found out that they are getting paid at least £2,400 for me per month. Or at least they were. Since I turned 18 they stopped getting the allowance. However, they applied for a staying put arrangement for me, which meant they would continue getting paid something as they continue to support me and let me live with them. It wasn't as much, I think it was like £1,000 per month. They told me they had it approved until I was 21, so I thought I'd be able to stay at least until I finished uni. They sat me down today and told me I had to leave. They told me that fostering is a business and that they couldn't afford to keep me on just the stay put arrangement allowance. They told me I had until the end of the week. 4 days. How generous of them. They said they need my room because they want to get a new foster placement. They literally told me it's not personal. Like that makes me feel any fucking better. They said they would still consider me like a son, not their son anymore. Like a son, and that they want to keep in touch. What a joke. They choose to kick me out. An 18-year-old with no job. No income. No nothing. About to start university. Yet their bio son who is 25 gets to stay? So yeah. I guess fuck me, right? I'm just the one no one ever wanted. I guess I wasn't ever truly part of their family. Update 1. I only slept 2 hours last night, that's also I'm probably a little delirious today as well. Firstly, I have contacted my personal advisor. He'll having an emergency meeting with me at 1:30, so I'll have more details about what's going to happen to me then. He'll hopefully be able to sort out emergency accommodation for me. Secondly, to those of you saying the Peters can't legally just give me 4 days notice to leave, I will definitely be mentioning this to my PA and get his advice on it. I don't want to stay here any longer than I need to because since they told me it's like I don't exist. They just look right through me. But I'm not going to move out until I have safe accommodation for me. I will outright refuse. I am not going to be made homeless. Thirdly, those of you saying contact my uni, I have an offer from them but it's only conditional if I get my predicted A levels. Hopefully I will, but since I'm not technically a student yet, I don't know if they will actually provide any support yet. Finally, I am also going to ensure that the staying put allowance stops. I will tell my PA today that it should surely be stopped if I'm not living with them. Luckily I have some money saved. Some people here have said I should be entitled to a bursary when I start uni, and I'll have my maintenance student loan to help me. I've already started looking for a job. Update 2. Basically I had a big long meeting with my PA and he was very sympathetic and felt upset that the Peters are treating me this way. We had one meeting and then I went to get food while he spoke to the Peters directly, and then I came back to meet him again to let me know everything that has happened. He's putting me on the list for social housing. I am hopeful that it will not be long until I am able to get my own house. I recorded the meeting because I'm so sleep deprived and also I have really bad memory processing for long things like that because of my dyslexia/autism or something, I'm not sure. I can listen to it again tomorrow after I've slept, but from what I gather they will help me with paying for rent costs. I will also get some money to help pay for furniture and things like that. When he spoke to the Peters I don't know if he said they had to keep me housed for a while or asked them to, I'm not sure. But they've agreed to keep housing me until the end of August. So at least I don't have to worry about everything happening in 3 days' times. He did tell me that if I feel uncomfortable I can be moved into a youth hostel place while they wait for a property to be available for me. But I said if I can I would rather stay with the Peters until I'm ready to move. Even if it makes me feel a little uncomfortable. He told me they will continue getting paid the staying put allowance until the day I officially move out, and then it will be stopped. On a completely separate note, my best friend and I had a huge argument earlier. He said that I'm being ungrateful, and honestly what he said really hurt me. We had a huge argument. I just thought out of everyone he would get me and understand what I was going through. Maybe not. Maybe I'm being unreasonable. I am really tired, so maybe my emotions are just not being controlled well at the moment. I am going to talk to him tomorrow after I've slept, and I'm hoping this argument will just blow over because I need him at the moment. I don't feel like I have anyone else. Update 3. I want to put everything behind me. Claire rang me crying. Saying she had no idea I felt like this. How? How could she not know? She said she was sorry and begged me to come back. God. How do I ruin everything? She was telling me all these things about how she regrets the past few days so much and wishes she could take it all back. I said this is not fair. She cannot throw me out and then call me crying. I said it's manipulative. She just kept saying sorry. She said she loves me and wants me to come home. Jesus. This is just a lie, right? She must have known. Am I the bad person here? I feel so confused I don't know what to do. I just hung up and then she started texting me and I blocked her, but now I feel like I'm the bad person here. I'm so tired of this. Of all of this. I want nothing to do with any of them.